Ambassador Veltar's four crystalline eyes dilated in horror as he reviewed the datapad for the third time. His natural luminescence flickered with distress as he addressed the assembled Galactic Council. Honored members. His voice resonated through the chamber's translation matrix. The humans have done something unprecedented, something that defies all logic and survival instincts known to civilized species. The delegates, representing dozens of races from across the galaxy, turned their attention to the towering ambassador. Murmurs rippled through the chamber in languages both spoken and telepathic. They have colonized Kepler 442c, Veltar announced, his form dimming with unmistakable fear. Silence fell like death itself. Even the ever-chattering insectoid delegation ceased their clicking. High Counselor Zephyx, a gaseous being contained within an elegant mobility suit, broke the stunned quiet. Surely there's been an error, Ambassador. No species colonizes a blue Deathworld. The designation exists precisely because such worlds are unsurvivable. The data is confirmed, Veltar replied, uploading information to the chamber's central display. 6 months ago, a human colony ship, the New Horizon, established permanent settlement on Kepler 442c. They have not only survived but are reportedly thriving. The holographic display revealed the world in question. A beautiful blue marble suspended in space, its surface swirled with violent storms and shrouded in electromagnetic interference. To most species, it appeared as a jewel. To those who understood its true nature, it was death incarnate. Impossible, hissed Senator Krethak, his reptilian form coiling in agitation. The electromagnetic radiation alone would fry the neural systems of any carbon-based life form. The atmospheric pressure variations would crush most exoskeletons, and the seismic activity. He trailed off, his translator struggling with his species' equivalent of profanity. Perhaps they developed advanced protective technology? Suggested Counselor Thymine, her bioluminescent tentacles pulsing thoughtfully. Our long-range sensors detect no energy shields, no atmospheric processors, no protective domes, Veltar responded. They appear to be living, naturally, on the surface. A collective shudder ran through the assembly. In 47,000 years of recorded galactic civilization, no species had ever successfully colonized a blue Deathworld. Many had tried. The archives were full of distress signals that simply stopped. What do we know of their current status? Asked High Counselor Zephyx. Last communication indicated a population of nearly 10,000. They've established multiple settlements and have begun what they term terraforming operations. Veltar's voice carried disbelief. They're apparently making the world more habitable. More habitable? Senator Krethak's scales rattled. How does one improve upon a death sentence? High Counselor Zephyx floated closer to the display, studying the swirling blue world. These humans continue to surprise us. First contact protocols classified them as standard carbon-based with typical environmental tolerances. Perhaps our assessment was incomplete. What are you suggesting? Asked Counselor Thymine. I suggest we send an expedition, Zephyx replied. A research vessel with full diplomatic immunity. If the humans have achieved the impossible, we must understand how. Such knowledge could revolutionize galactic colonization. And if they haven't? Veltar asked quietly. If what we're detecting is automated distress beacons or worse, if the world has claimed them as it claimed all others who dared attempt settlement, then we'll have our answer, Zephyx concluded grimly. And we'll know that even humans have limits. The vote was unanimous. Within a standard galactic week, the research vessel Stellar Inquiry would depart for Kepler 442c, carrying the galaxy's finest xenobiologists, atmospheric specialists, and emergency rescue personnel. None of them could predict what they would find. Captain Jensen emerged from the geothermal plant, wiping sweat as the facility hummed with quiet efficiency, converting seismic energy into power for New Haven. Around her, Kepler 442c's alien landscape stretched endlessly, blue-tinted rocks, crackling electrical storms, an ever-present aurora dancing overhead. Captain Martinez, her communications officer, jogged across the compound. Incoming vessel. Unknown configuration. Broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Jensen pulled on her jacket. Friendly or hostile? They're using universal translation protocols, requesting landing permission. They claim to be a Galactic Council research expedition. Galactic Council? Jensen raised an eyebrow. They'd heard rumors from alien traders, but direct contact had been limited. In the communications center, Technician Williams adjusted frequencies. They're struggling with our atmospheric interference, but I've got clear audio. The speaker crackled. Human settlement, this is research vessel stellar inquiry under Galactic Council authority. We request orbital position and diplomatic landing party deployment. Jensen grabbed the microphone. Research vessel stellar inquiry. This is Captain Elena Jensen of New Haven Colony. You're welcome to establish orbit, but be advised, our atmospheric conditions challenge most non-human species. What's your research nature? A pause. Captain Jensen, we're here to study how your species survived on a blue Deathworld. According to galactic records, such survival should be impossible. Jensen exchanged glances with her crew. Blue Deathworld? That's what you call Kepler 442c. You don't consider it a death world? Jensen laughed. It's no vacation resort, but we've seen worse. My team surveyed 17 worlds before settling here. This had the best combination of resources and character. Radio silence. Then, Captain, what parameters classified those 17 worlds as unsuitable? The usual, Jensen replied casually. 3 had no tectonic activity, 2 geologically dead for reliable geothermal power. 5 had insufficient atmospheric electrical activity for our storm generators. 2 had stable weather patterns, boring and terrible for wind farms. 4 lacked significant electromagnetic fields, we need those for manufacturing. The rest had various issues. Too predictable. Not enough natural disasters to keep construction crews busy. Nearly a full minute of silence. Captain Jensen, came the strained reply. Did you describe planetary catastrophes as desirable features? Look, Jensen settled into her chair. I don't know what worlds your species prefer, but humans need excitement. Keeps us sharp, gives us challenges to solve. This place has fantastic storms, active geology, brilliant auroras, and enough electrical activity to power a small solar system, plus incredible views. As if summoned, a massive lightning bolt arced across the horizon, illuminating blue-tinted clouds spectacularly. The communications array sparked before surge protectors activated. See, Jensen grinned. Never a dull moment. Captain, the alien voice returned, clearly strained. Our specialists calculate that lightning strike at 2.7 billion volts. Doesn't that concern you? Williams, Jensen called. What did that strike read on our collectors? Williams checked instruments. 2.6 billion volts, Captain. Decent charge, nothing special. Remember Tuesday's 4.2 billion volt strike? Now that was impressive. You harvest lightning? The alien voice asked weakly. Sure. Free energy is free energy. We've got collection arrays across the continent. Some power grid runs purely on storm collection. More radio silence. Background voices spoke rapidly in native languages, translators struggling. Finally, Captain Jensen, we formally request research team landing permission. We need to see this ourselves. Permission granted, Jensen replied, but I'd recommend environmental suits. Not because of conditions, they're mild today, but your species might not be adapted to our atmosphere. We'll have reception ready at landing pad Alpha in 2 hours. After signing off, Martinez looked puzzled. Captain, did they seem scared? Terrified, Jensen confirmed, watching another lightning display. Wonder what boring worlds they come from. Dr. Kethvar had studied life forms thriving in methane swamps, creatures living in space vacuum, and organisms feeding on pure radiation. But as Shuttle Scientific Endeavour descended through Kepler 442c's atmosphere, his instruments registered readings that made no biological sense. Atmospheric pressure fluctuating between 0.8 and 1.4 standard units, reported Lieutenant Commander Orcs. Electromagnetic interference makes navigation challenging. The shuttle shook violently, passing through storm fronts. Lightning illuminated the cabin in stark flashes, each strike making instruments scream warnings. "How do they read this as mild conditions?" muttered Dr. HFY, the atmospheric specialist. Her biosuit's environmental readings cycled through threat levels too rapidly to track. Through viewports, the human settlement grew larger below. What struck Dr. Kethvar was how integrated it appeared with the hostile environment. Rather than hiding behind protective barriers, human structures seemed designed to embrace the planet's violent nature. "Are those lightning rods?" Dr. HFY asked, pointing to towering spires rising from every building. "Not just rods," Dr. Kethvar realized, studying scanner readings. "Collection arrays. The humans aren't protecting themselves from electrical storms. They're feeding off them." Landing on the designated pad, they saw humans waiting. None wore environmental suits. They stood casually in open air as electrical displays painted the sky above. "Final instrument check," ordered Commander Zaltaith. "Atmospheric toxicity? Within tolerable ranges for their species," Dr. HYSS reported. "But electromagnetic radiation should be cooking their neural systems." "Seismic activity?" "Constant microtremors, with major quakes registering 4.2 Richter every few hours. The ground never stops moving." "Atmospheric pressure?" "Fluctuating 30% every few minutes due to storm systems." Commander Zaltaith's mandibles clicked nervously. "And humans read this as mild conditions. Deploy full environmental protection." The airlock cycled. The research team stepped onto a blue Deathworld surface. Immediately, suits registered environmental warnings as ground trembled with seismic activity. Captain Jensen approached with a warm smile, flanked by colonists. "Welcome to Kepler 442c. Beautiful day, isn't it?" A massive lightning bolt struck a collection array 50 meters away. Thunder was deafening, ground shook with impact. The alien team's instruments went haywire. "Apologies for the storm," Jensen continued conversationally. "It's been building all morning. Should be quite a show tonight." Dr. Kethvar found his voice through his suit's communication system. "Captain Jensen, our instruments indicate that lightning strike carried enough energy to power a small city." "About average for Tuesday," agreed Chief Engineer Rodriguez. "Though we're hoping for impressive strikes later. The storm front from the east shows promising electrical potential." "You hope for larger lightning strikes?" Dr. THYSS asked weakly. "Sure. Our power grid handles up to 15 billion volts before bleeding off excess energy. Anything less is wasted potential." Rodriguez gestured toward towering arrays. "Plus, big strikes put on quite a light show. Great for morale." Commander Zaltaith's translator struggled with his emotional state. "Chief Rodriguez, what you describe as wasted potential would be classified as civilization-ending catastrophe by most galactic species." "Really?" Rodriguez looked genuinely surprised. "Ha! Different strokes, I guess. Would you like a settlement tour? We're proud of what we've built." Walking toward the main complex, Dr. Kethvar noticed human buildings weren't constructed despite the hostile environment. They were constructed because of it. Geothermal taps fed directly into structures, electromagnetic collectors integrated into architecture, and seismic dampeners converted ground motion into additional power. "Dr. Kethvar," Captain Jensen said, noticing his fascination. "Rodriguez mentioned you're a xenobiologist, interested in how we've adapted agricultural systems to work with planetary characteristics." "Adapted?" Dr. Kethvar asked. "The constant atmospheric electrical activity has done wonders for crop growth. We're getting yields 300% higher than Earth normal. Seismic activity keeps soil perfectly aerated." Dr. Kethvar's instruments detected something impossible. Humans weren't just surviving conditions that should kill them. They were thriving because of those very conditions. "Captain," he said slowly, "in recorded galactic history, No species has successfully colonized a blue death world. Environmental factors are considered universally lethal. Jensen looked puzzled. I suppose it depends on perspective. What makes a world deadly to you might make it perfect for us. We're pretty adaptable. A tremor ran through the ground, stronger than previous microquakes. The alien team's instruments screamed warnings as emergency protocols activated. The humans didn't even pause their conversation. Felt like a 5.1, Rodriguez commented casually. Right on schedule. Afternoon quakes have been pretty regular. Dr. Kethvar realized with growing amazement he wasn't studying a species that survived a death world. He was studying a species that found paradise in what every other civilization considered hell. Dr. Kethvar sat in the settlement's community center, reviewing notes while outside. What humans cheerfully called evening entertainment lit up the sky. Through transparent aluminum windows, he watched lightning storms paint the horizon in brilliant colors while ground trembled with regular seismic activity. Electromagnetic readings are off the charts, Dr. HYSS reported, her bioluminescent form flickering with distress. Atmospheric electrical activity alone should disrupt every neural pathway in their brains. And yet, Commander Zaltaith observed, watching human children playing in the courtyard, they appear to function normally, better than normally. The children were remarkable. Despite environmental conditions that should render them unconscious or worse, they seemed more energetic and alert than baseline human readings suggested possible. Dr. Martinez, Captain Jensen said, joining them, I understand you wanted to discuss our medical data, Dr. Martinez was the settlement's chief medical officer, a compact woman with intelligent eyes. She carried a datapad filled with colonist health records. Your team expressed interest in how we maintain health in these conditions, Dr. Martinez began. When we first arrived, we expected adjustment challenges. And you experienced none? Dr. Kethvar asked skeptically. We experienced changes, Dr. Martinez smiled. Just not the ones we expected. Within the first month, we noticed significant improvements in several areas. She activated a holographic display showing medical charts. Bone density increased 12% average. Muscle mass improved 8%. Cardiovascular efficiency increased 15%. Neural activity showed marked improvement in pattern recognition and reaction times. Dr. THYSS's bioluminescent form nearly strobed in disbelief. You're describing evolutionary adaptations that should take thousands of years. We think it's constant environmental stimulation, Dr. Martinez explained. Electromagnetic fields seem to positively affect our nervous systems. Seismic activity provides constant, low-level physical therapy. Atmospheric pressure variations improve cardiovascular health. The necessity of constant adaptation keeps our minds sharp. What you're describing, Commander Zaltaith said slowly, sounds like the planet is actively improving your species. In a way, yes, Dr. Martinez agreed. We've started calling it beneficial stressor syndrome. Environmental challenges that would overwhelm most species seem to trigger positive adaptive responses in humans. Dr. Kethvar leaned forward. Dr. Martinez, in your medical opinion, could other species achieve similar adaptations? Dr. Martinez considered carefully. Based on what I've observed of your team's reactions, I'd say no. Your species appear wired for environmental stability. Your stress responses seem designed to shut down non-essential functions when faced with threats. That's normal survival behavior, Dr. THYSS protested. For you, yes, but humans seem to have the opposite response. When faced with environmental stress, we become more active, more creative, more social. We don't shut down, we ramp up. As if illustrating her point, a spectacular lightning strike illuminated the settlement. Instead of seeking shelter, humans outside paused to admire the display. Several colonists emerged from buildings for better views. You see, Dr. Martinez continued, what you perceive as mortal danger, we perceive as invigoration. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Captain Jensen answered. Captain, came the duty officer's voice. Incoming weather. Major storm system approaching from northwest. Estimated peak electrical activity of 18 billion volts. Sustained winds of 200 kilometers per hour, and seismic resonance activity. The alien research team's instruments immediately registered threat levels exceeding maximum safety parameters. Understood, Captain Jensen replied calmly. Storm protocols? Already implemented, Captain. Power grid prepared for high-volume collection, wind generators locked and loaded, seismic dampeners configured for energy harvesting. Estimated power surplus should run the settlement for 3 weeks. Excellent. Make sure everyone gets to see the light show. Dr. Kethvar stared at Captain Jensen. You're looking forward to this storm? Dr. Kethvar, Jensen replied with a grin. You're about to witness something maybe a dozen humans in history have seen. A Category 5 blue storm on a Class A Deathworld. This is the kind of natural phenomenon that makes you feel alive. Through windows, they could see colonists gathering in viewing areas, setting up chairs and preparing refreshments. Children pressed against windows with excitement and anticipation. In about an hour, Captain Jensen continued, you're going to see the most beautiful and terrible display of natural power in the known galaxy. And you're going to see it surrounded by 10,000 humans who consider it the highlight of their week. Dr. Kethvar realized he was witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that didn't just survive in impossible conditions, but had found joy in them. Commander Zaltaith, he said quietly, I don't think we're studying colonial adaptation anymore. What are we studying? The commander asked. Dr. Kethvar watched the approaching storm and humans preparing to celebrate it. I think we're studying the birth of something entirely new. The storm hit New Haven at 1947 local time, and Dr. Kethvar was convinced he was witnessing the end of human civilization on Kepler 442c. His instruments screamed warnings as wind speeds exceeded 250 kilometers per hour. Electromagnetic interference was so intense his biosuit systems kept cycling through emergency protocols. Ground beneath the settlement shook with seismic activity registering catastrophic on every scale his equipment possessed. And the humans were having a party. Magnificent! Shouted Chief Engineer Rodriguez over howling wind, barely audible through the tempest. He stood on an observation deck, watching lightning bolts the size of city blocks arc across the sky. Look at that discharge pattern. We're getting beautiful branching on the eastern collectors. Dr. Kethvar, safely enclosed in his emergency shelter pod, watched through reinforced viewports as humans continued outdoor activities. Children pressed faces against windows, eyes wide with wonder. Adults moved calmly between buildings, checking systems and adjusting equipment. Dr. Tetwesis, he called to his colleague. Are you recording this? Everything, she replied, bioluminescent form pulsing rapidly with stress. Though I'm not sure anyone will believe it. Through communications links, Dr. Kethvar could hear Captain Jensen coordinating the settlement's response. Her voice was calm, professional, and tinged with unmistakable excitement. Power grid at 340% normal capacity, she reported. Storm collectors handling the load beautifully. Seismic generators producing surplus energy. All residential areas secure and comfortable. Captain, came Rodriguez's voice. We're getting spectacular electrical cascades on the northern array. Peak discharge reading 22 billion volts. Outstanding. Make sure the geology team gets good readings on seismic resonance. Data like this is invaluable. Dr. Kethvar felt his worldview shifting. These humans weren't enduring the storm. They were harvesting it. Commander Zaltaith, he called to the expedition leader. Are you monitoring the settlement's vital signs? Continuously, came the reply. Dr. Kethvar, the human stress indicators are peculiar. Peculiar how? They're showing elevated heart rates and increased neural activity, but none of the biochemical markers we associate with fear or distress. If anything, their readings suggest enjoyment. A massive lightning bolt struck the central collection array, sending cascades of sparks in all directions. Thunder was so loud it temporarily overwhelmed Dr. Kethvar's audio sensors. Through his viewport, he saw humans emerge from buildings to watch the display. "It's beautiful," he heard one colonist exclaim. "Did you see the secondary discharge?" called another. It jumped between 3 different collectors. Dr. Martinez's voice came through communications. "Medical update. No injuries reported. Several cases of elevated excitement, but that's normal for storm night. Dr. Peterson is treating one case of what appears to be disappointment that the lightning isn't bigger." "Disappointment that it isn't bigger?" Dr. THYSS repeated weakly. The storm continued for 4 hours. During that time, Dr. Kethvar documented phenomena violating every principle of xenobiology he'd learned. Humans didn't seek shelter, they sought better viewing positions. They didn't reduce activity, they increased it, using the storm's energy to power manufacturing operations that would normally require their primary reactor. Most impossibly, as the storm reached peak intensity, humans' health readings actually improved. Heart function became more efficient. Neural activity increased in regions associated with problem-solving and creativity. Even immune systems showed enhanced activity. "They're not just surviving the storm," Dr. Kethvar realized aloud. "The storm is making them healthier." When the tempest finally began subsiding, Dr. Kethvar emerged from his shelter pod to find the settlement bustling with activity. Humans moved between buildings, checking systems, collecting data, and preparing for what they cheerfully called post-storm operations. Captain Jensen found him near the central plaza, where colonists were celebrating around tables laden with food and drinks. "Dr. Kethvar," she called cheerfully, "how did you enjoy your first blue storm?" "Captain Jensen," he replied, translator struggling with his emotional state. "In the past 4 hours, your settlement was subjected to environmental conditions that would sterilize most inhabited worlds. Your people responded by celebrating." "Well, yes," she said, looking puzzled. "It was a particularly beautiful storm." "Did you see the aurora displays when electromagnetic fields intersected with upper atmosphere? Spectacular." "Captain, that aurora display was a planetary-scale electromagnetic discharge event. It should have fried every piece of electronic equipment in a 1,000-kilometer radius." "Our equipment is properly shielded," Jensen replied. "We learned from the first few storms that you have to build for the environment you're in, not the environment you wish you were in." Dr. Kethvar looked around at the bustling settlement, at humans who had just weathered conditions that would terrify most galactic civilizations, and who were now planning improvements for the next storm. "Captain," he said slowly, "I'm beginning to understand why your species chose this world." "Oh?" she asked, interested. "You didn't choose it despite its dangers. You chose it because of them." 3 weeks into their stay, the research team had documented enough impossible phenomena to revolutionize galactic understanding of planetary colonization. Dr. Kethvar found himself in the settlement's research center, comparing notes with Dr. Elizabeth Harper, the colony's lead scientist. "The children born here," Dr. Harper was explaining, "show remarkable adaptations, enhanced pattern recognition, improved spatial reasoning, and what we're calling environmental intuition, the ability to predict weather patterns and seismic activity with uncanny accuracy." Dr. Kethvar studied the data with growing amazement. "Dr. Harper, these readings suggest cognitive improvements of 20 to 30% over baseline human norms." "Conservative estimate," Harper replied. "Some of our kids can predict lightning strikes within a 2-second window just by watching cloud formations. They navigate seismic tremors like other children navigate playground equipment." Through the research center's windows, Dr. Kethvar could see colony-born children playing in the courtyard. What struck him wasn't their enhanced abilities. It was how naturally they moved through an environment that would paralyze most galactic species with terror. "Dr. Harper," he asked, "do the children understand how unique their abilities are?" "Not really. To them, this is normal. They think other humans are oddly insensitive to environmental cues." Harper smiled. "Last month, my daughter asked me why people on Earth can't taste incoming storms the way she can. Taste storms. Electromagnetic sensitivity. She claims she can identify storm types by the way the air feels on her tongue." electromagnetic composition, pressure differentials, ionic concentrations. She processes it all subconsciously. Dr. Kethvar's instruments detected something extraordinary. The children weren't just adapted to the environment, they were integrated with it. Their nervous systems had developed enhanced sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, seismic vibrations, and atmospheric pressure changes. Dr. Harper, in your opinion, could these children survive on a standard galactic world? Harper paused in her work. That's an interesting question. Physically, yes, but psychologically, she shook her head. I think they'd find standard worlds unbearably boring. Sensory deprivation, almost. Sensory deprivation? Dr. Kethvar, imagine spending your entire life in a symphony hall, learning to appreciate the subtle interplay of dozens of instruments. Then imagine someone forcing you to listen to nothing but single notes, played one at a time at low volume. The implication hit Dr. Kethvar like a revelation. The colony children don't just tolerate the environmental complexity, they require it. Exactly. They're not just adapted to a death world, they're optimized for it. At that moment, Commander Zaltaith entered the research center, his form radiating urgency. Dr. Kethvar, we need to discuss our findings. The implications are significant. They moved to a private conference room, where Dr. THYSS was already reviewing atmospheric data. Commander, Dr. Kethvar began, we're documenting unprecedented adaptive responses. The humans aren't just surviving, they're evolving. Rapidly, Dr. THYSS added, the electromagnetic fields are triggering genetic expression changes that would normally take millennia. The constant environmental stress is activating dormant human potential. Commander Zaltaith's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Dr. Kethvar, what are the implications for galactic civilization? Dr. Kethvar considered this carefully. Commander, we're witnessing the birth of a subspecies. Humans adapted specifically for Deathworld environments. If this colonization model proves successful, other humans will attempt similar colonizations, Commander Zaltaith finished. Deathworlds across the galaxy could become habitable, but only for humans. Dr. THYSS's bioluminescence flickered with concern. It's more than that. If humans can thrive in conditions that kill other species, they could colonize worlds we can't even survey safely. The implications were staggering. For 47 millennia, galactic civilization had avoided entire categories of planets deemed too dangerous for settlement. Worlds rich in resources but protected by lethal environments had remained untouched. The humans, Dr. Kethvar realized, aren't just expanding into unsuitable territory. They're expanding into territory that belongs to no one because no one else can claim it. A soft chime indicated an incoming priority message from the Stellar Inquiry. Captain Yorix's voice filled the room. Commander Zaltaith, we're receiving communications from the Galactic Council. Multiple member species are requesting immediate reports on human Deathworld capabilities. What's prompted this urgency? Commander Zaltaith asked. Sir, we've just received confirmation of 17 additional human Deathworld colonies established in the past 6 months. Worlds classified as uninhabitable by every member species. Dr. Kethvar felt his worldview shift again. 17 colonies? Yes, sir. And they're not random settlements. The humans appear to be systematically targeting the most dangerous worlds in known space. Gamma radiation planets, corrosive atmosphere worlds, gravitational anomaly systems, places where our survey teams won't even venture. Dr. THYSS's form was strobing rapidly. They're not just colonizing death worlds. They're collecting them. Commander Zaltaith rose from his seat. Dr. Kethvar, we need to return to the Council immediately. If the humans are expanding into territory no other species can contest. They're not competing with us, Dr. Kethvar finished. They're transcending us. Through the windows of the research center, they could see New Haven bustling with activity. Humans moved confidently through their impossible environment. Children played in conditions that would kill most galactic species, and the settlement continued to grow and thrive. Commander, Dr. Kethvar said quietly, I don't think we're documenting colonial expansion anymore. What are we documenting? Dr. Kethvar watched the humans of New Haven, adapted and thriving in their beautiful, terrible world. I think we're documenting the emergence of something that will change the galaxy forever. 6 months after the Stellar Inquiry's departure, Captain Jensen stood on the observation deck of New Haven's new orbital facility, watching the latest wave of colony ships approach Kepler 442c. The planet that had once been considered uninhabitable was now a thriving hub of human expansion into the galaxy's most dangerous worlds. 43 new arrivals this month, reported Commander Torres, her new orbital operations chief, including families with children who specifically requested assignment to Deathworld colonies. Jensen smiled, watching the sleek vessels navigate through the planet's electromagnetic storms with practiced ease. The newer ships were different from the original New Horizon, designed specifically for Deathworld operations, with integrated storm collectors and seismic dampeners that made them not just capable of surviving hostile environments, but drawing power from them. Any word from the Titan's Crown expedition? Jensen asked. Last communication showed successful establishment of Base Alpha, Torres replied. They're reporting that the 15G gravity is actually helping with their manufacturing processes. Apparently, the extreme gravitational stress is creating crystalline structures impossible to produce in normal conditions. Through the viewport, Jensen could see New Haven far below, now expanded into a sprawling metropolis that embraced every aspect of the planet's violent nature. Lightning collection towers rose like metallic forests, their constant harvest powering not just the settlement but the orbital shipyards where humanity's next generation of Deathworld vessels were being constructed. Commander, came a voice from the communications station. Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. Priority 1. Put it through, Jensen ordered. Ambassador Veltar's familiar crystalline form appeared on the main display, but his usual luminescence seemed dimmer, more subdued than Jensen remembered. Captain Jensen, Veltar began, his voice carrying a weight of resignation. I'm transmitting on behalf of the Galactic Council with a formal proposal. I'm listening, Ambassador. In the past year, humanity has established colonies on 73 worlds previously classified as uninhabitable. Your species has claimed territory that represents nearly 40% of resource-rich planets in this sector, worlds no other species can even approach, let alone inhabit. Jensen nodded. The universe is a big place, Ambassador. There's room for everyone. That's precisely what we wanted to discuss, Veltar continued. The Council has voted to propose a formal arrangement. Humanity would have exclusive colonization rights to what we now term human-compatible worlds. Essentially, any planet classified as a death world by galactic standards. In exchange for continued peaceful coexistence and trade relations. Also, we would like to request consultation services. Jensen raised an eyebrow. Consultation services? Captain, there are worlds in our territory that contain resources we desperately need, but cannot access due to environmental hazards. Worlds with unique crystalline formations that require extreme gravitational stress to form. Atmospheric processors that could revolutionize our technology but exist only in corrosive gas giant atmospheres. Energy sources that exist in the hearts of lightning storms. The implications were staggering. The galaxy's most dangerous worlds weren't just becoming human territory. They were becoming humanity's exclusive economic domain. You're proposing that humans become the galaxy's professional colonists for impossible worlds, Jensen realized. More than that, Veltar admitted. We're proposing that humans become something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that serves as the bridge between civilized space and the universe's most hostile environments. Jensen looked out at the bustling activity around Kepler 442c. Children who could predict storms with their minds, adults who thrived in conditions that would kill other species, and a civilization that had turned planetary disasters into daily entertainment. Ambassador, she said finally, I'll need to discuss this with our colonial council, but I think you'll find humanity very interested in your proposal. One more thing, Captain, Veltar added, his form flickering with what might have been curiosity. Our xenobiologists have been studying the data from Dr. Kethvar's expedition. They've concluded that the children born on Deathworlds represent a new branch of human evolution. What do you call them? Jensen smiled, thinking of the young people below who moved through electromagnetic storms like dancers, who read seismic patterns like poetry, who had adapted to thrive in conditions that terrified the galaxy. We call them what they are, Ambassador, she replied. The future. As the transmission ended, Jensen watched another colony ship disappear into the swirling storms of Kepler 442c's atmosphere, carrying the next generation of humans toward worlds that would kill any other species. The galaxy had just learned that the universe was much larger than anyone had imagined, and humanity was determined to explore every dangerous, beautiful, impossible corner of it. The age of human Deathworld expansion had begun,